So I've been putting off making this video for a little while now. The Golden Boy versus Broken Arrow video has been my most viewed video as of this point. So if you have seen that, thank you very much. If you haven't, I will link that above. And I kept getting a lot of comments, particular to the Golden Boy. A lot of people that just kind of ask different questions about it. If you're interested in those, you can go read them. But I actually don't own the Golden Boy anymore. I had it for a few weeks, maybe even a month. And a few weeks ago, I decided that it wasn't the pedal for me. I recorded the clip that you're going to see here in a minute. So without further ado, this is why I got rid of the Jackson Audio Golden Boy. So there are also a couple of things about this pedal that ended up just not really working for me. I love the design. I think Jackson Audio did a killer job with that. I also love that they got Joey to sign a lot of them. I think the graphic and the color of everything has done really well. The thing I don't really like has been kind of the implementation of Midi. So if you watched the video that I did comparing this to the Broken Arrow, and I will link that also in the description and up above in this video, if you saw that, then I talked a little bit about how they do Midi in this pedal. And basically, instead of having any kind of Midi presets, you have to send a bunch of different Midi messages to change the position of the treble knob, and then also the middle and the gain, and what boost and what setting and all of that. So because of that, it just kind of became unusable for me in a kind of minor Midi implementation setup. The only Midi pedals that I have are the H9 and an HX Stomp, and so it just didn't really make sense to have some huge Midi controller and have to go through the complicated programming of this. And part of the reason I think Midi is really necessary for this pedal in particular is also just because of the way the gain cycling works. So the gain cycling is great in theory. The problem I have with it is the drastic volume change. Now, I didn't notice this as much in the Broken Arrow, and truth be told, I didn't even really notice it when I made the video comparing these two. But basically, if I were to be in the orange mode of this and then toggle to the green mode or similar, the green mode, because of the nature of the compression, is much louder. Now, that's kind of to be expected. I can't really fault Jackson Audio for that. I'm not a pedal designer, so kudos to Brad for even being able to figure this thing out. But the problem that I do have with the gain cycling is if I'm in the orange LED mode, say, and I start at the gain cycle at the bottom, by the time I get to the top, not only does it have more gain, but it's a lot louder. Again, I know it may sound like a minor thing, but to me that made it really hard for me to use live with the drastic volume differences. Again, if you're using Midi, then it's great. You can program that away and not have a problem. But for me, it's just not really working. So I'm actually packing this up, and it is going to be gone this week. I think it's a good pedal. I think it sounds good. I had a few qualms with it, but as it turns out, there's just other stuff that works for me better. So just a couple of closing thoughts. One thing, I actually misspoke in the previous clip when I said that you could use Midi to control the EQ settings. You actually can't use Midi to control any of the knobs. What you can use Midi for is to toggle the boost and the overdrive on or off. You can also select the gain cycling. You can select the clipping mode or the different LEDs of the overdrive, and you can select the EQ of the boost. So that's just the different LED mode settings on the boost. But you can't actually compensate for volume or EQ or anything, which to me kind of was what I had in mind when thinking about Midi for the pedal. I'm thinking about being able to have maybe a completely high-passed, kind of nasally radio sort of guitar sound, something that's kind of an effect to use live or to be able to recall for a specific sort of sound. So maybe for you, it's not a big deal. You're just going to kind of find a setting you like, set it and forget it. Maybe also use the boost or switch modes occasionally. And if that's the case, then the Golden Boy could be perfect for you. For the way that I was thinking about using it with Midi, it just didn't have all of the functionality that I wanted. Now, this is not a slam on Brad Jackson, Jackson Audio, Joey Landreth, or anybody else that had anything to do with designing this pedal. It's really just kind of how I found myself using it, and after some real world application of a couple of sessions and a live recording, I just didn't really feel that it worked that well for my specific taste. I also used a modeler for one of the aforementioned instances, and just kind of the way that it would jump drastically in volume when gain cycling didn't really work well for me, because then it started just kind of compressing the front end of the modeler that I was using, the Kemper, and didn't really work in the way that I personally wanted it to. All of that said, the boost is still the best boost I've ever used. If Brad Jackson ever makes the boost side of the Golden Boy / Broken Arrow available as a standalone pedal, I'll probably buy two. I really do think it's that good. I think just the standard straight up full boost mode is really great, but having the different options is also super helpful. So this is not to convince you either way that the Golden Boy is good or the Golden Boy is bad. This is just more information that I wish I would have known before purchasing a Golden Boy. So if this video is helpful for you, please give it a like, leave a comment below, let me know, do you have a Golden Boy? Are you going to get a Golden Boy? Or maybe some of your thoughts related to this video or previous videos about this pedal. If you like this kind of video, please consider subscribing and hit the bell icon to be notified when I post new videos. So that's it for this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.